Okay, so let's get started. How to start a successful photography business. Okay, so here's the agenda for the day. I'm going to start with an intro, talk a little bit about myself, so you know who I am and why, who's the teacher and why should you even listen to me. I'm going to give you guys a total of 4 lessons today. So it's going to be lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, and then I'm going to do a giveaway, and then there's going to be a lesson 4, and then I'm going to give you guys a gift at the end for those that decide to stick around to the very end. And then I'm going to make a special announcement at the very end. So yeah, it's a lot of exciting things to kind of go over and talk about today. So hope you're excited. Okay, intro. Who am I? Who's this guy that's talking right now? So yeah, so I've been doing photography for 7 years full time now. I'm actually a professional commercial photographer and videographer. So what that means is I just help businesses create photos and videos. So things like headshots, food photography, product photography, real estate, content for social media, video promo videos, or business promo videos, things like that. I actually have 2 companies. I have one, my original company called Stephen Lee Photography, which I've been running for about 7 years now. And then in the last year, I started a second company called The Unstoppable Photographers, which is more on the education side, where I actually teach photographers how to start and grow a photography business. So yeah, so those are my 2 companies. I actually used to be an engineer. I was never always just a photographer straight from the beginning. So I did the engineering thing, graduated from university, did that for 7 years and was an employee, then got laid off, and I decided to pursue entrepreneurship and then started my own photography business. I'm a teacher. I love to teach and help people grow, and that's kind of why I do things like this. Actually, I've taught over 30 different workshops, most of them in the photography world. So things like camera fundamentals, like how to shoot in manual, how to work your camera, composition, editing workshops like Lightroom workshops, Photoshop workshops, portrait workshops. And then now that I'm starting to do more business related workshops. So like helping photographers how to start photography business workshops like this one, marketing workshops like Instagram and Facebook marketing. Yeah, so again, I'm also a marketer since I've been doing photography for about 7 years now. Learned a lot about how to grow a business. I love teaching marketing, I realized, and talking about marketing. And so I have become a marketer. And then some fun facts about me. I backpacked from Panama to Mexico for 4 months. Yeah, I did that after I quit my job. And then also once I took a helicopter to the top of a mountain just to take some photos. So this was a mountain called Mount Assiniboine, which is near Calgary. So it's a town called Canmore. And to get to the top of this mountain, you either have to hike 8 hours up a mountain with full gear, or you can take a helicopter up. And I decided to take a helicopter up, stayed up there for a couple days, and then hiked back down. So if anyone's in the Calgary area and you're looking for an adventure for the weekend, check that out. It's called Mount Assiniboine. Okay, so I'm originally from Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan is a province right next to Alberta, originally from Regina. And then, as I mentioned, I graduated from University of Alberta from engineering. And I did that. And after I graduated, I worked as an engineer for about 9 years in total. So while I was an engineer, being an employee, I did photography for fun. I did the kind of mostly, travel photography. So every time I would travel somewhere, I'd take my camera, take some photos, and then just post them on Facebook, post them wherever. And then while I was posting photos on Facebook of my travel, people would be like, oh, wow, your photos are really good. Can you do a headshot for me? Can you do some portraits for me? Can you do some family sessions for me? Can you shoot my wedding? I'm like, no, I shoot landscape. I don't do people, and I definitely don't do weddings. And then I had a friend that really insisted, like, Steven, I've seen your work on Facebook. You're good. I want you to shoot my wedding. I'm like, okay, fine. And I had about 4 months to figure out how to shoot a wedding. I'd never shot a wedding before. And this was a photo from the very first wedding I've ever shot. and I thought I did a pretty good job considering it was my very first wedding. And they also paid me, it was the most I've ever made doing photography at the time. They paid me $1,000 to shoot their wedding. And I was like super happy about that. I'm like, oh wow, I'm making real money doing photography. And then in 2014, the price of oil crashed in Canada. And and for those that aren't familiar with Alberta, we're a very oil-based country, right? I would say more than 50% of the people that live here are somehow related to the oil and gas industry. So when the price of oil crashed, everyone got, well, a lot of people got laid off. Like there was a massive layoff, and I was one of them. So, one of the kind of, you can say, a dark time in my life, getting laid off. I've never been laid off before. I've quit my job, but that's, a little different than getting laid off. But this is the first time I ever got laid off. And this is kind of how I actually got started doing photography. And it was like the birth of my company, Stephen Lee Photography. So then I decided to pursue start a photography business because there's actually no works for engineer at the time because of the price of oil crash. No one was hiring. I'm like, fine, I guess I'm going to start a photography business because I need to pay the bills, and then I'll still look for an engineering job, right? And then that really never happened. I just kept pursuing and growing my photography business. So then when I started out, I was making only part-time income by working full-time. So I was something called a everything photographer. So that's a little word that I made up myself. So I did a little bit of everything just to make money, right? I said yes to everything, any opportunity to make money in photography. So people wanted me to shoot their weddings. I said yes. They wanted portraits. I said yes. Real estate, family, couples, headshots. I said yes to them all, just to try a little bit of everything. And I became an everything photographer, right? I didn't really have a niche. I even did newborns and photo booths, and even tried to sell work, like did fine art photography, and also did lessons at the time. But being a new photographer, right, not knowing anything about business, all I knew was how to take pretty photos, but I didn't really know anything about the business side of things, like how to do marketing, how to get clients, sales, finances. I was actually losing a lot of money because my expenses were a lot higher than my income, right? And I swear I was losing about $10,000 to $20,000 every year because the differences were, there was that gap between how much money I was making and how much money I was expending. So yeah, it wasn't a good time, and this was definitely not sustainable. And if I kept on this path, I would have had to go back to getting a real job and doing this on the side. Then in 2017, something happened. Things started to change. And what happened was I found some mentors. I found people that were successful in business, right? Either they were like a successful photographer, like for example, the lady on the left, she was a successful full-time boudoir and wedding photographer, or the lady in the middle, she was a successful business coach, and then the lady on the right, she was just a successful entrepreneur. She had a mortgage business, right? And so I was surrounding myself with successful entrepreneurs and learning about. Oh, can you stop doing that, Jonas? Oops. 1 second there. There we go. Let's see. 1 second. There. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, so I was saying, I ran into some successful entrepreneurs and started learning from them, and that's where I really turned my business around, was meeting these entrepreneurs. And then that's when I became full-time and was making actually full-time income. And I figured out my niche and decided I want to really specialize in the commercial side. So like I said, headshots, real estate, product, food, lifestyle branding photos. Here's a quick behind the scenes of me doing a clothing shoot for a company for their e-commerce store. And then also got into video in the last couple of years. Okay, so that's a little bit about me. So let's get into the real stuff, the lessons. So how do you start a successful photography business? So as I mentioned, I'm going to talk about 4 lessons today. Lesson number 1. So lesson number 1, you need to burn the ship. Who here has heard of the term burn the ship? Type in the chat box if you have. Nobody? Okay, so no worries, and that's why you're here. I'm here to teach you. So the concept of burning the ship, or who made it popular, I guess, was somebody named Hernán Cortés. Okay, oh yeah, somebody knows about this person. Yep, that's correct, Cortés. So Hernán Cortés was actually a European back in the, I don't know exactly when, maybe the 16 or 1700, around there somewhere. And basically what happened was they were coming over to North America to conquer North America, right? They're discovering new land. And they came over, and I believe they landed either in Mexico or the US, right? Like present day US. But they basically came to North America and they, came onto shore. And then when they got there, they were like, hey, this is going to be our land and we're going to take it over, right? And then they realized when they got there, like, no, they're not, because the natives were there, right? The locals were there. And they were outnumbered about like 5-1, right? They're like outnumbered 5-1. And basically, if you're going to take our land, you need to take it from us, right? Basically, fight us and take the land from us, right? And so so Hernandez was told his men was like, hey, I want you to burn the ship, right? Because we're not going back to Europe. We're going to either win this war, right, or die. So he got his men to burn the ship, and they burnt the ship, and now they had no way to go back. They had no way to retreat, right? And they were outnumbered 5-1, and they're like, we either fight and win, or we're going to die. And somehow they managed to win the war, right, or the battle, and they won, even though they were outnumbered 5-1. And yeah, and so they won. So that's really the concept of burning the ship, meaning obviously you're not going to burn a physical ship in this case, right? But it's a metaphor, and it's a metaphor for doing something so that you can't go back, so that there is no plan B, right? Because let me ask you a question. I want you to type in the chat box, how long have you been thinking about starting a photography business? So just type in the chat box. Is it months? Is it years? How many? Like 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 2 months, 4 months? How long have you been thinking about starting a photography business? Okay, so Kara says 5 years plus. Courtney says 1 year. Cheryl says many. Jamie says 3 years, maybe. Tyler says couple years. Kimmy says 3.5 years. Tom says years. Emil says 4 months. Iris says 3 years. Noah says 4 months. Vaughn says 10. Is that 10 years? Wow. M. Nappy says years. And then David says 1 month. Okay, good for you, David. So you can see the point, right? Everyone, for most of you, it's been in the years, right? And why have you been thinking about this for years and never done it? It's because you haven't burnt the ship, right? You haven't done something to make you take action now versus, oh, it's a nice dream to have and one day it will happen, right? Life is short. You never know what's going to happen, right? We're only on this planet for so long. And also life happens, right? Like if you keep thinking about it, things happen, you make excuses, right? Like, oh, I have kids now. Oh, I have a full-time job now. Oh, I'm moving to this other country now, or the city, or oh, I've got another job, or hey, I got a boyfriend, or hey, I got a girlfriend, or hey, whatever, right? You're always making excuses or giving reasons why you're not going to do it, right? So you need to burn the ship. Okay, so how do we actually even burn the ship, right? Okay, so I'll give you some examples of how you can burn the ship, okay? One way is to just go to school. And I know there's some people that are like, hey, I want to start a photography business. So they end up going to a school to teach them how to actually take better photos, right? How to actually get better at photography. And then usually at the end of it, they'll teach them some business lessons, and they're on their way to, being a photographer, but also started their journey to starting their own business, right? So that's one thing you can do. There could be local schools or there can be online schools, right? You can invest money, right? And that applies to a school, or you can pay money for an online course. But generally, when you spend money on something, you're more invested in it and you're more committed to doing that thing, right? Like, if you ever paid for let's say like a workout class or gym, or for, or you're paying for an online course. Generally, you're not going to be like, spend the money on an online course and then you're going to be like, okay, that's it. I'm not going to do it, right? You're going to be like, since I spent the money, I'm going to make sure I complete that course because I paid for it, right? So when you invest money, you're more committed to taking action and completing that thing that you paid for. Okay, paying for a class. I talked about that already. You can hire a mentor, right? So when you hire a mentor, they're going to hold you accountable because you're going to have to meet with them, right? You paid them whatever it is, $100, $200, and they're going to teach you that thing that they promised they're going to teach you. Well, you're going to have to meet with them. So they're going to hold you accountable to meeting first off, and then taking action after the end of the meeting, right? They're going to give you a bunch of actionable items and you're going to do it. Having an accountability partner or group, right? So for example, if you guys are, let's say you want to start a photography business, maybe you can find someone else that wants to start a photography business, and you're like, hey, we're going to hold each other accountable and we're going to both grow our business together. And you also have someone to kind of push, talk about, the different steps that you need to take and where you are, and bounce idea off of each other, right? So yeah, either find a partner or find a group, right? And where do you find these groups? There's tons of them on Facebook, right? If you are on Facebook, there's groups for everything. There's groups for photographers that are new, photographers that want to start a business, right? Yeah, so there's groups online everywhere. And there's also the people here too. So if you guys are looking for an accountability partner, feel free to type in the chat box and share your contact information, and then you guys can reach out to each other. Make a public declaration, right? This is another thing you can do. Obviously, this is not guaranteed, but this is at least puts pressure on you, right? I remember this friend that I had. He posted on Facebook that he was going to lose 10 pounds in 2 months, or else he's going to buy a specific person dinner, right? He put that out there, right? And then basically the whole world is now watching him lose 10 pounds and or buying, this specific person dinner. And he ended up doing it actually. So yeah, so you could just make a public declaration like, hey guys, in 2 months, I'm going to start a photography business, right? And you can have the whole world keep you accountable. And then what you should do is you can have weekly updates like, hey guys, it's, every Saturday you can update them. I just figured out my company name. Hey, I just registered my business. Hey, I just built a website, whatever, right? So you can do it that way too, right? Public declaration and public accountability. Or you can have your family members, your kids, your brothers, sisters, keep you accountable, right? Okay, some real life examples. Those are some real life examples. I want to give you some actual real examples, specifically from my life and how I've done some I wouldn't say crazy things, but really big things that a lot of people would be like, wow, that's amazing that you did that. And how I was able to how I burnt the ship to make it happen, I guess. Okay, so one thing a lot of people dream about, and we're like, wow, that's a cool thing to do. I wish I could do that, but I can never do that, is to travel the world. And I don't just mean going for 2 weeks somewhere during your 2-week vacation that work gives you, right? But I mean going for like months or even a year, okay? So this is something I actually have done. To most people are like, how did you do it, right? How did I, manage to, and for me, this is something that was a dream of mine for about 4 years at the time, right? So you guys thinking about photography business for like 3 or 4 years, that's totally normal, right? I've been thinking about traveling the world, like going for more than 2 weeks, right? Going for like months, I mean, for about 3 or 4 years, right? And then after about year 4, I finally had the guts to do it, right? And it was because I was sick and tired of my job and I wanted to quit my job. And then I'm thinking, okay, while I'm in between jobs, like before I find the next job, I'm going to go quit and I'll go travel the world. So then I bought a one-way ticket to Panama. So that's me sitting in a hammock in Panama. I bought a one-way ticket to Panama. So I invested money, right? So I talked about, remember how number 2, investing money, right? I invested money and I also had a date, right? Like a deadline, meaning I'm leaving on this specific day, right? It's either happening or I'm going to lose this money that I spent on a one-way ticket to Panama, right? So that's one thing that I did to burn the ship. But I also did a second thing. So I burnt the ship twice. So the second way I burnt the ship was I quit my job, right? So I told them, sorry, I'm out of here. Here's my 2-week notice and I'm leaving, right? And so I burnt the ship twice. I quit my job and also bought a one-way ticket to Panama. Create an online business. So this was another dream of mine for like, again, years, right? So it's okay for you guys to be dreaming about starting a photography business. It's totally normal, right? But sometimes you need to do, for something to happen, you need to burn the ship again, right? Because again, I was thinking about this for years, but what happened? How did I actually end up doing it? I joined an accountability group, actually. So I joined a group and they were called the Inner Circle Mastermind. And what it was it's a group of people, in my group anyway, it's a group of entrepreneurs that are all about doing, like they have a specific goal that they want to reach. And we talk about that goal and what is the next step that they're going to take towards that goal. And so every week we meet and we talk about what's that little step we're going to take towards that big goal that we want to achieve. And so because of them, they got me to talk about my big goal and then make little steps towards and actually make it happen. So through them, I started creating an online membership and an online courses. So yeah, for those that don't know what a mastermind is similar to an accountability group. Yeah, and in my case, we meet once a week. So you can look for them if you can either create your own mastermind, right? So just find groups of people that have similar interests, like, hey, we all want to start a photography business together, or hey, we all want to start a business together, or hey, we all want to lose weight together, or hey, we all want to go after big goals, right? And then once you find these group of people, either you create it yourself or you can find them online. Just type in or Google masterminds, right? Or you can find a group. So let's say you want to start a photography business. Then you find a Facebook group for photographers that want to start a photography business. And then inside that group, you ask, hey, who wants to be part of a mastermind support group, right? Okay, start a photography business full time, right? How did I manage to do that? And again, starting my own business, not specifically photography, but just starting my own business was a dream of mine. And I've been thinking about that for about 4 to 5 years. Basically, after 2 years into being an engineer, I was already sick and tired of it. And I wanted to start my own business. Maybe not full time, but definitely a part-time business, right? But how was I able to start a full-time photography business? This is like a dream for a lot of people, right? This is like, for at least most of you, like, hey, this is, or not most of you, but at least a good portion of you, this is the dream, right? To start a full-time photography business, live a life where you're doing something that you enjoy versus what you're actually doing as your day job. So this is like, how do I do that? So I end up, and it wasn't, in this case, it wasn't me burning the ship, but it was the universe burning the ship for me. And they burnt it twice. And it wasn't for these two things, I would have gone back to becoming an engineer. And what it was, and as I mentioned, I got laid off. So that's step one. So the universe burnt the ship for me by laying me off, right? Making the price of oil crash. But when people get laid off, what normally happens? They just find another job doing the same thing, right? You know, normally in my case, I would just find another engineering job, right? Well, the universe was like, Stephen, you're never going to get back to engineering because we're going to do something else to make sure you don't go back to engineering, right? And the second thing the universe did for me was there was no works for engineering because the price of oil crashed. No one was hiring engineers, right? Or if there were people hiring, there would be a lot of competition, right? And so because of the second thing, it forced me to start a photography business instead of going back and looking for another engineering job. So in this case, it was the universe telling me that, Stephen, you're meant to be a photographer and doing it full time, right? So that was kind of nice of the universe at the time, and I really appreciate it. So thank you, universe. So does anybody have any questions about burning the ship? Because if we don't burn the ship, all it's going to be is, oh, I want to. Oh, I want to. Oh, one day I'm going to do this. One day I'm going to do that, right? Okay. M. Nappy says, have you felt like giving up? Definitely. If you decide to become a full-time photographer, It's not for everybody, and I don't recommend it for everybody. You need to be a person that can have a high risk tolerance and can handle lots of ups and downs. Okay. Like you'll have months where you're like living the dream and you're getting like tons of bookings. You're getting like, I'll have months where I'm making what, like six, seven, $8,000 a month. And then I'll have months where I'm making like 1,000. Right? And that's just the nature of having a business and relying on it full time, right? I'll like sometimes go through months where I have zero bookings. I'm just like, what happened, right? Maybe not zero, but like two or three, and that's it, right? So it's very up and down. And if you can't handle that, I don't recommend it, right? Just do it part time, which is totally fine, and just keep your full time job, right? And just do it that way, right? Yeah. Dav says, how do you were able to not feel fear? No, I definitely felt fear. But it's about embracing the fear. I guess you need to ask yourself the question. So, okay, for those that are scared, right? Be it, you want to quit your job, or you want to start a photography business, like taking big risk, or you want to go travel the world. The question you need to ask yourself is, what is worst case scenario? Okay. And once you answer that question, you realize it's not that scary at all. Okay. So, for example, let's say you want to quit your job to pursue photography full time. Okay. And let's pretend you're an engineer. Okay. Okay. So, what's worst case scenario? Worst case scenario, you fail, right? You give yourself a year, you fail, you don't make it as a photographer, you don't make 30K a year, you make 10K a year or whatever. Worst case scenario, you just find yourself a full-time job again as an engineer. That's not that scary at all. How about quitting a job to go travel the world? Okay, what's worst case scenario? Worst case scenario, you just get yourself a one-way ticket and come back home, right? So worst case scenario often isn't worst case. And then you also ask yourself the other question, what is best case scenario, right? So if you're trying to pursue photography, best case scenario is you end up doing it full time and now you're living the dream, right? So is best case scenario worth worst case, is when you're comparing best case scenario and worst case scenario, is it worth it, right? And that's the question you need to ask yourself. A lot of times, sometimes it's riskier not to take action, actually, right? Yeah, like I'll give you an honest answer. Right now, because of me having my own business and being in control of my income, it has actually helped me make money because of COVID. Actually, I have more stability during COVID because I control my own business. If I was an employee, right, I can't control if I'm going to be employed or not. They could just be like, Steven, you're laid off. See you later, right? Whereas as a full-time entrepreneur, I'm actually have more stability financially during COVID because I control my income and also can pivot my business to whatever I want it to be. Like, for example, I transitioned to make it a little bit more online friendly. And now I'm more COVID proof versus other people, their life and their income is dependent on someone else, which is someone else saying, hey, yeah, we don't need you anymore. See you later. You're laid off. Right. And now they're sitting there waiting until they can get hired again. Right. So sometimes, you know, you need to ask yourself, what's best case scenario, what's worst case scenario, and then is it worth it, right? And again, you only have one life, so I say just do it and see what happens, right? Okay, moving on. Lesson number 2. You need yourself a mentor because, okay, so you want to start a photography business, either part-time, full-time, whatever it is. Yes, you can wing it. Yes, you can just try to figure it out on your own and build yourself a website, come up with a name, create your own logo, and just wing it, right? You totally could do that, right? But if you want to do it properly and you want to do it more effectively, you want to find someone who's done it already and can show you how to do it properly, right? It's like, let's say you want to learn how to make a 3-tier cake, right? Yeah, you could totally wing it, watch some YouTube videos maybe, and try to figure it out. And you could be successful. Or you go out there and you find someone that teaches you how to do that, right? Like maybe a proper YouTube video. You find yourself a blog that has a very detailed description of exactly how to do it from a professional chef. You find yourself, or you meet someone in real life, right? That you can that you can ask questions about and show them. Or you sign up for a course that teaches you how to make a 3-tier cake, right? So those are all different forms of mentorship, right? And you need to basically educate yourself from someone who's done it before and not just wing it, okay? And they don't have to be in person, right? They could be virtual, they could be videos, whatever it is, right? So everybody knows about YouTube, right? We live in a world of YouTube now where you can learn anything. A lot of professional photographers have their own YouTube channel now, and a lot of them share a lot of things that they know with you, right? Yeah, so you can actually learn a lot from some of the, like, we live in the golden age of information now, right? Where you can learn from the best in the world, right? And a lot of them have all their information online, right? Be it on YouTube, or they have online courses that they've created, right? And you can learn from all of these people, right? You can attend school. Yeah, you can attend school. That's one way to, you can take online courses, as I mentioned, right? A lot of photographers now have their own online course. There's websites that are dedicated to just online courses, and you can find any type of thing on these online on these websites. So for example, you got Udemy, right? That's a pretty big one. You got Creative Live. Creative Live is for online courses for anything in the creative world. So not just photography, but photography, videography, graphic design, painting, graphic design, anything artsy. Lynda.com is another good one. Skillshare is another good one. And then, like I mentioned, a lot of photographers now have their own courses that you can find them usually through their own website, or they actually have them hosted through these other platforms, right? Okay, so then you can also get real life mentors, meaning like in person, real life. And this is probably the best option, because the problem with YouTube and these online courses, right, is you can't ask a question, right? You can't talk to them, right? They're just gonna, it's a one-way learning, right? Where they just say stuff or show you stuff, and then you absorb it, and then you do your action. But if you have a question, you can't talk to it, right? So that's why the best option, if you can, or at least combine a real life mentor with these online courses and YouTube, is because with a real mentor, you can actually ask them questions, right? Ask them questions that are specific to you, because everyone's gonna, because when they teach you something, it's gonna be general, right? It's not specific to you and your situation. And so you want answers to your specific situation, right? And that's why you need to talk to somebody, right? So if you're trying to be a part-time or full-time photographer, then you want to reach out to someone who's doing it full-time or part-time or full-time, right? Okay, so how do we reach out to these full-time photographers and get some of their time, right? One is you can help them out, right? You can reach out to them and say, hey, no, I'm looking to start a photography business. I want to learn how to start a business. And I was wondering if you need help with anything, right? You need help with the shoot, I can help you hold gear. I can help you with managing the people. I can help you with the shot list. I can help you set up lights. I can help you drive you around, right? Be the chauffeur or whatever, right? And a lot of photographers would appreciate that, as long as they need the actual help, right? And you're actually being helpful and not being a hindrance, I guess, and kind of being in the way of the shoot. Okay. So yeah, definitely reach out to them. So you can collaborate with them. So work on a shoot together with them. So let's just say they're into creative portraits. Then you can like, hey, would you like to collaborate on a creative portrait shoot? Right? I can help you plan the location, find models, find clothes, plan all that out for you, right? And then we can do the shoot together. right? They appreciate that. Again, if it's something that's in it for both parties, right? You can do a mastermind. So I talked about that, right? Where you get a bunch of photographers together, or a group of people, similar people together, um, and you basically, talk about photography and whatever you're trying to achieve and helping you moving you towards that goal. So with masterminds or accountability groups, right, there's a great way to access people that are hard to reach. Like I'm in a group right now where there's a marketing person in that group, and if you want to get one-on-one time with him, he charges normally $500 an hour, and I actually have access to him for free because he's in my mastermind group, right? Because he's actually getting something out of the group, right? We're helping him grow his business, and vice versa. We're helping each other grow our business. So that's why I don't have to pay him $500 to hang out with him, because we're in a group where we're actually helping each other. You can work for free. You can intern for them, right? So from where I am, there's a photography school called Nate where they teach photographers how to basically teach them how to take better photos, become a better photographer, right? Learn that skill. And as part of the schooling, they have to intern with a full-time photographer for a couple days to a week, right? And so I've had many students intern for me for a week just to basically job shadow me, basically, and work for me and learn about what it's really like to run a photography business. So yeah, if you reach out to people and say, hey, can I work for you for free? If you have the time, right? And just job shadow you, they'll be like, sure. And they'll give you a little project to work on, right? If you're full-time job, maybe you can work for them, once a day, right? Like on the weekends or something. You can work for money, meaning sometimes these photographers, they're hiring, right? Maybe they're looking for an assistant. They're looking for an editor. They're looking for a second shooter. They're looking for a social media person, right? I'm sure a lot of photographers would love to have a social media person, right? And you're like, hey, can I work for you and become your whatever, right? Your assistant, and they'll actually pay you to, and they're paying you for them to mentor you at the same time, right? Which is kind of cool. You can pay them. So you can pay them to be your business coach, right? Now, if you do that, hiring a business coach is expensive, just to warn you. But again, expensive is relative. But they can go for between a typical business coach usually charges around $250 an hour, right? And they're going to dedicate 1 hour purely to help you with your business. And that's what they do. But obviously they come in different ranges. You can get some for, I'm sure you can get some for like $100 an hour upwards to like $500 an hour, right? Depending on where they are in their business and where you are in your business too. Yeah, so there's a lot of different ways to get access to photographers that are doing it part-time, full-time, successfully, and how you can actually get them to mentor you. Okay, so a little bit about my story, or I guess it's story time a little bit here. So as I mentioned, part of how I was able to make that transition from like just winging it as a part-time photographer, making $10,000 to $20,000, but having like full-time expenses, right? Like, and I actually needed to make like $50,000 to $60,000 a year to pay my expenses and more, and to live somewhat comfortably. To make that transition from part-time to full-time income, where that happened was because I actually had mentors, right? And here are three of my mentors that really has helped me. So the guy on the left-hand side is the guy that I mentioned that is in my mastermind. The guy who's like a master at marketing and charges $500 an hour. I get access to him for free through my mastermind, right? And we actually hang out. He's actually a photographer too. And so sometimes we actually hang out and do photography together. The lady in the middle, she's a business coach specializing in business operations, right, and business workflow, and basically how to automate your business. So she's kind of helped me automate my business, and amongst other things, and helping with time management. The lady on the right, she specialized in helping just entrepreneurs in general, how to take more control of their business and basically spend less time in their business, like just basically live a life where you where you live an ideal lifestyle when it comes to your business, where you're not working 60 to 80 hours, but you're working more like 30 to 40 hours and making full-time income. So yeah, so I've had 3 great mentors, and that's kind of really how I have pivoted and changed, went going from part-time income to full-time incomes, because I actually learned from successful entrepreneurs. Okay, lesson number 3. Once you did something to burn the ship, and you have found yourself a mentor to kind of help you, right? Be it taking online courses, be a real life mentor, or combination of both, right? Now you need a roadmap, right? You need to know what do I do exactly to go from point A to point B, right? How do I go from not having a photography business at all to starting one, right? And what are all those steps in between, right? And probably that's one of the reasons why a lot of you were kind of been thinking about this for so long, is because you didn't have the roadmap. You didn't know exactly what to do, right? No one gave you the roadmap. So who here wants the roadmap? Type yes or me in the chat box if you want the roadmap to starting a photography business. Cheryl says, heck yes. Kara says yes. Tyler says me. Noah says yes. Kimmy says yes. Majdi says yes. Dave says yes. Cynthia says yes. Ira says yes. Vaughn says yes. Mike says yep. Emil says yes. Okay, cool. So I'm going to give you the roadmap. Okay, so you don't need to write this down, because I'm going to give you a PDF that has the actual like list of things I'm going to talk about, right? If you want to write this down, you totally can, right? But you don't have to. Okay, so here's the roadmap. Okay, step 1, you need to come up with a business name. Now, some tips on coming up with a business name. When you come up with a business name, make sure you Google it, and make sure no one else has taken it, okay? This is super important. Because if there's a name that you really, really, really like, right, but someone else has taken it, I highly recommend you don't be stubborn and still keep the name, and then just get the .ca or .co or .biz or something that's not .com, because you're going to be fighting a uphill battle, and you're going to be losing a lot of clients. Because when people type in your name in Google, they're going to be like, is this you or is this you? And you're going to create confusion, and you're constantly going to be battling with this other person to make sure the right people see you versus the other one. And you're going to be competing with them on social media and on Facebook, right? It's not worth it. Just pick a different name, okay? Just let them win and pick another name, and keep coming up with a name until it's a name that's unique that no one else has, okay? Unfortunately, you're going to have to do that, because if you're really insistent on a name because it's something that you've been thinking about for a while, I say change it, okay? And if you're not super creative, you can just use your name, photography, right? So like Stephen Lee Photography, I came up with that, right? Don't spend too much time coming up with the name. You can always change it later, okay? Yeah, don't delay the start of your business by a month because you decide to spend a month figuring out the ideal company name, okay? Don't do that. Next, you need to buy yourself, once you got the name, you need to buy yourself the URL and get a business email, okay? So by business email, so by the URL, it means just, so for example, my name is Stephen Lee Photography. So then I would get, StephenLeePhotography.com, right? Where you can go to get that, you can go to GoDaddy. That's a really popular place. There's a lot of other places you can go to, but I get all of my domain from GoDaddy. So Geo and then Daddy. And then when I say email, I don't mean like StephenLeePhotography.com@gmail.com. Or sorry, StephenLeePhotography@gmail.com. That's not what I mean. I mean an actual company name, meaning like, for example, my email is info@StephenLeePhotography.com. Okay, so you want to have your company.com at the end of your email. So how do you get a business email? The easiest way is to go to a place called Google Workspace, okay? You just go there. Once you got your URL, you type it in, and they'll give you whatever you want, like as a prefix. right? You can go info@stephenleephotography.com. You can go steven@stephenleephotography.com. You can go hello@stephenleephotography.com. You can pick whatever you want, right? And you can have more than one. You can have multiples. If you have like employees, right? Or you plan on having employees, or you want multiple emails for different things, right? Like one that's specific to you and one for as a general email, you can do that. But every email that you get costs money, right? So just letting you know about that. Then you need to get a logo and you need to come up with your brand. So, a logo, the way I would recommend designing a logo, obviously, if you have the money, you can hire an actual professional graphic designer, but it's going to cost you a pretty penny. They go for between $100 to $500, even more. Some of them even charge like $1,000 for a logo design. Okay. But I'm assuming because you're mostly new, you're going to be on a budget. You don't want to spend a lot of money because you don't know how big this might go, right? And how much money you're actually going to make, right? So then either you can, if you have a friend, talk to them to see if they can help you design a logo. You can go to a website called Fiverr, Fiverr, okay? Fiverr. And basically you can find graphic designers from around the world to help you design a logo. If you're going to do a logo design, I recommend you do as much research as you can into a logo first before you give it to a graphic designer, okay? So let's say you want to be a family photographer, then just go onto Google and type in photography logos or family photography logos and see what someone else has done before and use that as inspiration for your logo, okay? That's what I recommend you do. And then for branding, branding just means what people think about you when you're not around, right? So one of the biggest things you should consider right off the bat is your company colors, because then you're going to use that for your logo, use that for your website, use that for your business card, for your brochures, for anything for your social media. You want to keep colors consistent, okay? There's more to branding than just that, but that's just like stage one of branding 101, I guess. Then you want to create a portfolio. So I recommend getting at least 3 photos, like doing 3 sessions for one type of photography. So let's just say you want to do kids, weddings, and family. Then you should do 3 for each: 3 weddings, 3 families, 3 kids, okay? And you want to make them different, like kind of have a variety, right? So like, let's say for the kids, it might be 1 indoor, 1 outdoor, and maybe 1 in the wintertime or something like that, right? So just some variety. Or you can do different races, right? Like one is, you got darker skinned kids and then lighter skinned kids and then Asian kids or something like that, right? Because people will more likely hire you if they see something similar to what they're looking for, right? So if they are Asian and they see that you've shot Asian kids, they're more likely to want to hire you because you already shot Asian kids, right? Then you want to create a website. Where are some great places to create a website? So if you're not techie, right, I recommend Squarespace or Wix. Squarespace, one word. If you are techie, then I recommend WordPress. So WordPress is the best because it's the most versatile. But you also need to really understand a little bit of coding and things like that. Not a lot, but you should know some stuff like that. Because it's a lot more technical than the other two. The other two are more plug and play. Okay, so once you've done all that, you need to come up with your services, right? So all your packages. And if you're going to be a fine art photographer, then you need to have your products, right? You have to decide, okay, am I going to sell my work on canvas, prints, frame prints, right? And on the service side, what are your packages, right? Let's say you're a family session, family photographer, you're gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna have 3 packages, 1 hour, 10 images, 1.5 hour, 20 images, and 2 hours, 40 images, whatever, right? And then how much you're gonna charge for each one. Then you need to register your business, okay? Just go to the local registry usually is where you would go. Again, this would vary with different countries, right? How this process actually works. But in Canada, you just go to the register where where you register your car, where you register your, to get a license plate, right? It's the same place. And when you register your business, one of the things they're going to do is they're going to search in database to make sure no one else has the same name. Okay. And then you can do this on a local level, meaning just for your city, on a state or provincial level, right? Or on a national level, like across your entire country, right? And I think there's probably a way to do it internationally too, I'm sure, right? And yeah, you generally, if you're starting out, I would just block it off locally. But if you're selling to the whole world or selling to all of, like nationwide, then maybe you want to block it off nationwide, right? Obviously, it costs more money as you go up in the tiers, right? And definitely, once you become a more serious business, then you want to maybe block it off for the whole country. Because I remember this one crazy story where there was a DJ photo booth company called Progressive Entertainment, and they only registered their company name locally, right, in Edmonton. And then somebody in Calgary registered the same name, create another company, offering something slightly different, like not the same product, like service, but they decided to pick that name and they registered it across Alberta. And now they actually had to change their company name, change everything, change their logos, change their branding. And it was such a pain in the ass process for them. And that's because they didn't register their name provincially. And then you want to get yourself a business license. Okay. Generally, business license, you need to get one for every city that you're planning on shooting in. Okay. So like if you're a wedding photographer and you're going to be not just shooting in your local city, but to all your nearby cities, okay, then you need to get one for each city, unfortunately. You can, if you're just a one-off, meaning like, hey, I'm just going to shoot that one-off wedding in Calgary, for example, or to another nearby city, you can just throw you can, whatever the cost is to get the business license, you can just include it in your fees and charge it to your client if you want to. So that way you're not constantly paying for every new business license, right? And that's why wedding photographers charge so much money, right? They need to get all these business licenses. And then you want to get yourself insurance, because once you have a business, you have more liabilities and you don't want to get sued, right? So for example, you have a home studio and you're doing a family session and grandma comes in and she trips on one of the cords, right? And breaks her hip, right? Now they can sue you and you have to pay for the medical bills, okay? So you want to get insurance. Other things it does for you, if you, let's say you're in someone else's house and you decide to play with sparklers and the sparklers start a fire and you burn the house down, well, insurance is going to cover you, right? You have all your gear in your car and somebody notices you're a photographer, smashes your window, opens up the trunk, grabs all your gear in the back of your trunk. Again, your business insurance can cover your gear, right? Or someone breaks into your house and steals all your camera gear, right? Same thing. So you want to get insurance. Yeah, so super important. If you're a local, meaning you're from Canada or even North America, I believe this company's in North America. A great place to get business insurance is a company called Desjardins. So Desjardin, Desjardin. And then obviously you're not from North America, just Google business insurance and see what shows up. As for where do you get your business license? You just go to your local, just go to your local register, like the city, basically you go to the city. So when you go to like the city, so you can just basically Google the name of your city business license, and it should be like the first link that pops up. And then you just click on it and they'll walk you through. And you can normally do it online. So if you're from Edmonton, Edmonton business license. If you're from Calgary, Calgary business license. If you're from Sherwood Park, Leduc, Leduc business license. And it should be the first link that shows up. The registering of your business is important if you want to block it off and make sure no one else uses it. If you have a unique name that you don't think anyone else is gonna have, then yeah, I guess you don't need to. Yeah, but if you're gonna get your business license, right, then yes, you're gonna need to get that registered just to get a business license. Yeah, and to get your business insurance. So it's all like a chain reaction. Then once your business is set up, you need to tell the people you exist, right? That's what marketing is. Um, yeah, and then yeah, so be it social media marketing, Instagram marketing, Facebook marketing, in-person marketing, other types of marketing, SEO, Google marketing, Google Ads, right? Marketing is just telling people you exist. Okay. Now to answer Jamie's question, is there a license for the province? I've heard that they're working on one. They don't currently have one, but yeah, for your country, there might be one for your entire province, so you don't have to get one for every city, right? Um, or for the entire country, actually, right? One license just for the entire country. It doesn't matter what city you work in. Okay, as I mentioned, I have a gift for you guys. I have a PDF of the actual roadmap itself, so you don't actually have to write this down. I will type this in the chat box, so you don't have to type it out into your URL. Oops, yeah, that should be it, I think. Oh, 1 second. 1 second. Let me try this one. Maybe this one will work better. That's the long version. Yeah. I'll give you guys a minute to download that. So Tom says, how do we create a contract for our clients? Yeah, so to get a contract, I would start off by getting a template, and then you would just customize it to your liking. Okay. So either you can, again, just Google it and go for, just type in photography contracts, wedding, like photography, photo contracts, right? Or there's actually, if you want to get an actual legal one, again, this is, I think, specific to North America. You can go to a place called lawdepot.com, and they will have contracts that you can buy. Okay, so hopefully everybody has got that. Hope you enjoyed the checklist. Okay, bonus lesson. So lastly, you need a support network, right? Because for you to do all this, it's a lot of work, right? This is going to take you 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, even a year, maybe, to do all this, right? So you need someone to make sure to help you, support each other, and push you and make you keep taking little steps towards it, right? Because it's a lot of work, and you might get after this workshop, you'll be like super excited and do step 1, step 2, and then you get busy and then you stop doing it, right? So as I mentioned, I've been blessed with some great support. I've joined something called the Inner Circle Mastermind, which has really helped me move towards kind of some of my really big goals, right? So here's my little crew. There's more than 6 of us, but here's one where one day we only had 6 show up. So yeah, we meet on Zoom right now. Well, actually, we meet on Zoom normally because we're from all across North America. So we have some Canadians and we have some Americans in this group. Yeah, and we meet once a week and we try to support each other. I've also been blessed to join something called BNI, which is a business referral network. So it's for entrepreneurs specifically, and people that are doing business, running a business full-time, not just photography, but any business full-time. So I've joined a group where it's a bunch of entrepreneurs, full-time entrepreneurs, and we meet once a week. And all we do is we try to learn about each other and pass business to each other, right? And these groups exist all around the world. So they're everywhere. They're in Canada, US, Europe, Asia. You can find these local groups all across the world. So yeah, here's my crew. That's me on the left. And again, we meet once a week and we just try to pass business to each other. Now, because of COVID, we're meeting online. So yeah, I got to hang out with like 25 other successful entrepreneurs and learn about business from them and learn how they run their business and apply some of that stuff to me or to my business. Okay, so as I mentioned, I have a gift for those that stuck it out to the very end. So who here would like to learn how to get paying clients for your business? Type in the chat box, yes, me, who wants it? Mike says me, and Nappy says yes, Jamie says me, Kara says please, Kimmy says I would, David says yes, Maddie says yes, Noah says me, Cheryl says yes, Tom says me, Iris says me, yes, 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 me. Okay, I'll give it to you guys. So I'm gonna give you guys a free ebook. And the ebook is 50 ways to market and get clients for your business. So now you have no excuse, okay? I gave you 50 different ways. If you do all 50 things and you still can't make full-time income doing photography, then come back to me and I will help you personally, okay? If you've done all 50 things and you still can't generate a full-time income doing photography, come reach out to me directly and I will help you make a full-time income doing photography, okay? Okay, so here's the link to get that. I will post it again in the chat box so you don't have to type that out. That should be a working link this time. So yeah, you guys have no excuse. I gave you 2 roadmaps now, right? One for starting a business and one for, well, I guess this is not a detailed roadmap, but this is more of a general roadmap, I guess. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna give you guys a minute to download that. Oh, does it? 1 second. Okay. Give me a second. We got some technical difficulties. Give me a second here. Okay, sorry about that. Give me a second. Let me fix that. Might have changed the link by accident. Okay, I see what happened here. Give me a second. Sorry about that. Okay, try this one. Here we go. That should work. Sorry about that. Okay, let me know if that link works. Okay, perfect. Okay, so you guys now have no excuse for not knowing how to get clients. I mean, at least I'm giving you like the big overview, the actual steps you'll have to figure out because I don't give you exact details on how to implement every single marketing strategy. If I were to, we'll be here for like another 7 days, right? Maybe more, like a month actually. Okay, so to summarize, you need to burn the ship, right? Because I don't want you to be talking about this for like 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 years, 5 years. I mean, you can, but I don't want you to, right? I want you to do it now. I want you to take it action this year. Go get a mentor, be it a real life mentor, an online mentor, a combination of both. I've given you the roadmap, so now you know what to do. You need to get yourself a support group because it's not going to be easy. It's going to be a lot of work, and you need to kind of need some things, either person or group, to keep you, on track and making little steps every day towards it, right? So, does anybody have any questions? Did I do such a good job that nobody have any questions? I'll hang out here for uh Nappy says, is most mentorship paid? No, they're not. Um, like I said, I gave you a whole bunch of different ways to where you can, don't have to pay for mentorship, right? You can work for them for free. You can sometimes, if you're lucky out, they're looking for a person, then they're going to to um, pay you to work for them, right? But if you really want somebody and you want their time, it's like, hey, I like you and I want your time, right? Then generally, yes, you need to pay them. I mean, some of them will be happy if it's just a one-off. It's not like a regular thing. It's just a one-off that you can reach out to them and say, hey, can I uh, take you out for coffee or for food? Because I want to ask you some questions because I want to start photography business. Some of them will say yes. Some of them be like, sorry, I don't have time or I'm too busy. Now, if you're going to do that method, I recommend that you don't just buy them coffee. Okay. That's too little. You should buy them lunch. You should buy them dinner. You should take them out to, if they like sushi, take them out for sushi because their time is worth, like I said, over $100 an hour. Right. So the least you can do is buy them a $20 meal. Right. Or something. Right. They would really appreciate that. And, and then you're going to build a relationship because all of a sudden they're like, you create this great experience for them, like, oh, this guy just bought me dinner, this is so awesome, right? And then they'll be more than happy to probably answer any more questions you have afterwards, like on Facebook or text message when you do have more questions, right? So the more you give first, the more you're going to receive, right? Kind of like giver's gain. Okay, so I recommend you give and not just try to ask for their time for free. I get annoyed when people ask me to just pick my brain and just hang out for an hour. I'm like, no, right? Unless there's a good reason, right? I kind of get annoyed. Kara says she had one. Okay, maybe you can ask me if you remember. Cheryl was, what if the niche you have is little more common than when you had John and okay, for Cheryl, so if you want to get into the musician space and get to do concert photography, I'm assuming is what you're talking about, then you need to figure out who are the people that are connected to these to the artist, right? And so I would connect with venue spaces, right? So spaces that host the concerts, right? And build a relationship with them. Because then they could be like, hey, you're a go-to photographer for every concert that we have at this venue, right? How do you avoid comparing yourself? That's Dav. Um, I guess no, it is good to compare yourself to who's out there, but then at the same time know that it's okay that you're at a different level than them, and know where your level is, and just kind of know that you have, this gap that you need to move up towards, right? Yeah. I mean, it's just like becoming an artist where you're painting, right? In the beginning, you can't paint things like Picasso, but over time, you eventually get to creating images that look like Picasso, right? Kara, to answer Kara's question, so her question is there any good resource on figuring out your cost of doing business to figure out what your price should be? Yes, I actually I did a workshop on that a couple days ago. Ask me that at the end. I'll answer that question because it's a long answer. Well, okay, I'll give you the short answer. No, it's a long answer. Can you talk to me again afterwards, Kara? And I'll give you a more detailed answer at the end if you want to stick around to the end. Or reach out to me afterwards outside of this because it's a long answer. Iris, do you have suggestions on what you should do? Okay, so Iris says questions about things you should put in a contract. Yeah, so you should talk about deliverables, meaning like what are you actually going to give your client? You should talk about timelines, meaning when are you going to give it to the client, right? Like how long they should wait. You should put in things like extra time, right? So if it's time-based, like you get a 1 hour session, how much do you charge when you go overtime, right? Things like cover things like what happens if you accidentally delete all your images, right? Like what's the compensation if you lose your SD card or your SD card gets corrupted and things like that. So talk about worst case scenarios, right? Especially if you're in the wedding industry, right? That's huge, right? Yeah, so those are some things to consider. Yes, I can definitely post the link again. Oh, the roadmap. I think it's this one, Cynthia. That's for the roadmap. That's not for the marketing. Roadmap. And then Nappy says, what camera do you use? I'm a Nikon guy, so I shoot Nikon. Okay, so if you have more questions, type it in or wait to the end. We're almost done here. So yeah, what's your favorite thing that you learned today? Type in the chat box, what was the favorite thing that you learned today? Leanne says the roadmap. Iris says the roadmap, roadmap. Tyler, support system. Nappy says roadmap and mentorship. Kimmy, burn the ship. Roadmap. Kara says roadmap. Dav, asking what is the worst that can happen. That's awesome. I like that. Mandy says roadmap. Maj says everything. Okay, awesome. Okay, so you guys got lots of actionable content, so I don't even need to ask this question. I gave you guys a roadmap, 2 roadmaps actually. Oh no, one's a roadmap and one's just a list of things you can try out, right? For marketing. Okay, so what's next? As I mentioned in the outline, I have a special announcement at the very end, right? And so here it is. What's next? So who here is ready to take action? Who here is ready to burn the ship? Who's ready to start a photography business now and not wait 1, 2, 3, or 4 years, or at least think about it for like years? Noah says me. Nappy says me. Jamie says me. Kara says I'm ready. Iris says me. Kimmy says I am. Awesome. Mike says me, realizing I knew most of this great information. So yeah, Mike knew about this and he even didn't even take action. He needed to burn the ship. So yeah, Mike, see, you need to burn the ship. Like just because you have the information, I give you that roadmap, you need to also burn the ship, right? Or else you're not going to take action. You might do it over a period of like 2 years or 3 years or 4 years or never do it. Okay, so it looks like some of you are ready to burn the ship. So who wants to burn the ship with me? Who wants to start a photography business with me? Well, obviously I'm not starting a photography business myself, but I'm gonna help you help you and hold your hand and help you take you across that finish line, basically, to go from 0 to starting a photography business. So yeah, I'm gonna help you guys do it. I'm gonna help you burn the ship. And I'm also gonna be your mentor. I'm not gonna charge you $500 to be your mentor, okay? I'm gonna mentor you all, okay? And I'm gonna not even gonna charge you $100 an hour. I'm gonna charge you not even $50 an hour for this, okay? Maybe $50 an hour, but I'm gonna mentor you, and then I'm also gonna give you a more detailed roadmap. So the roadmap that I gave you was very general, okay? I'm gonna give you the exact steps. I'm gonna give you the exact scripts, the exact words to use to get your like 3 clients. Like I'm gonna give you, basically it's gonna be cookie cutter. Like you just copy and paste. You just copy and paste and you just do what I say. I'm gonna give you that exact roadmap um, of how to implement that roadmap and exact steps to take it. So yeah, so I want to announce something. And the announcement is I'm going to start something called, and this is the first time I'm doing this, it's something called the Unstoppable Photographers Launch. And this is basically a community that I'm going to create and a course to help you walk through those 10 steps. I think of 10 steps that I talked about. Or yeah, to kind of go from zero to launching your photography business now and not waiting 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 years for this. Okay. So yeah, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna help you launch your photography business in 60 days. So we're gonna burn the ship. Obviously, if you need more than 60 days, you can take as long as you need, right? So if you're not ready for this now, you can put it on pause and wait until you're ready to start this, right? But you can still sign up now, and then when you're ready, go for it. And if you need 90 days, if you need 120 days, that's totally fine, right? I'm just going to be pushing out the content over 60 days, but you can go at it at your own pace. But yeah, for those that are super excited, we're going to launch a photography business in 60 days. This is the details of what's going to happen. So I'm going to be dripping content out for over a period of 2 months. There's going to be live weekly training, but you don't need to attend it live. It's just for me to create the content. And if you want to ask questions, you're more than welcome to. But you can just get the recordings and just watch the video that I'm going to release every week. That's going to walk you through the different steps. Okay. And then I'm going to create a support group for you guys, right? Remember I said I'm going to mentor you guys. So I'm going to create a Facebook group where you can ask me any question or ask the group any question. And then the Facebook community is also going to double up, not just as a mentoring community, but also as a support group. And we're going to all push each other to support each other, to push each other to start a photography business and take those steps. So here's the kind of quick outline of what we're going to cover in this course. So week 1, we're going to focus on just the basics like your name, your URL, and your email. Then we're going to get all the registration stuff done, like registering your business, your license, getting insurance. Then we're going to talk about how to get your logo done. We're going to talk about branding, and then business cards if it's applicable. Right now, we live in a COVID world. Business cards aren't as applicable, but definitely you'll need them after COVID. I'm going to give you exact scripts on how to get your first 3 clients, like to build your portfolio. We're going to talk about social media and how to just get started in social media. So just how to start a Facebook page and an Instagram page or account. Then we're going to build a website, and I'm going to walk you step by step on how to build your website for you. Then we're going to talk about how to create an offer that people will actually want to buy, right? And then once we figure out offer, and we're also going to talk about pricing and pricing theory and how to figure out pricing. Now, here's a really cool thing. On week 8, I'm going to help you do a launch party and actually get you your first 3 paying clients. Who's excited to get the first 3 paying clients? And then as a bonus lesson, I'm going to teach you a little bit about marketing. Not go into super detail because to teach you everything about marketing, it's going to take like weeks, right? But I'm going to give you a great fundamental on marketing. So for you to get your first 3 paying clients, how much money would you make? How much money would you make if you got 3 paying clients? And you're just starting out as a photography business? What's that worth to you? So Kara says 750. Okay. Cynthia says 500 per boudoir session. So that's what, 1,500? There's no right or wrong answer, right? If you're super new, maybe you're only going to charge $50, right? For initially, right? Or $100. Mash says 1,000 plus. Wow, good for you. So is that like a wedding client, maybe? Okay, so again, we're gonna burn the ship. So we're actually starting tomorrow. You don't need to block off the day. If you're busy tomorrow, like I said, you can get access to the recording, but at least it starts tomorrow. So we're burning the ship. We're not waiting. We're not gonna wait 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years. We're going right now. Okay. So what is this worth to you? How much money would you make over 5 years if you were to start a photography business right now? Type in your chat box. What's the answer to this question? You can make up a number if you don't, if you don't have a rate, whatever you're comfortable with. Wow, someone's really aggressive. Someone says 300,000. That's M Nappy says 300,000. So you're going to make 80K a year, roughly. Wow, someone says 50K. Well, no, 500,000. Wow. Okay, you guys. Wow, we got some really optimistic people, which is great. This is awesome. You guys are like, you want to be making 100,000 a year. Kara says 80K. Yeah. And like I said, it's not right or wrong. These are big numbers, but even if you have little numbers, like, if you only want to make part time and make 10 or 20K a year, right? Kara says 60K. Dave says, yeah, wow, we've got some big numbers here. Okay, so this course, normally I would be charging $500 for this. I think that's fair for how much you guys could potentially be making. But because this is the first time I'm doing this, okay, I could charge $250 for this. But again, this is the first time I'm teaching this, and I want to help you make 2021 the best year ever, because 2020 was a crappy year, right? I'm only going to charge $100, which is ridiculous, because really you're only putting down $100 deposit for this, and you're going to get your money back and more, right? And on top of that, as I mentioned, I have another community called the Unstoppable Photographers. And this is like the community for the people after they finish the course. This is where I continue with ongoing support. And every month I do monthly lessons for them, right? Like on marketing and just kind of continue support. And you get to join this community for free after you're done your course. And in this course, I talk about, or what you get for this course is, we have one monthly business workshop, like Instagram marketing, Facebook marketing, whatever. I go live once a month and you can ask me any question that you want. So like group coaching, we have monthly challenges, and then we also have another Facebook group for this. And then as a bonus, I also get access to all of my workshops for photography. So if you need to get better at editing, get better at Photoshop, get better at basic camera fundamentals, right? You can get access to all of that to become better photographers and not just on the business side of things. So far in this other group, I've already taught Instagram marketing, Facebook marketing, and finance and pricing. So if you join right now, you actually get access to all 3 of those trainings, which is a recording in the back end. So you can watch those on your own. Time commitment. So what's the time commitment on this? Like I said, if you don't have time right now, if you're really busy, you have kids, you have a full-time job, you are in school, whatever it is that you're busy with, you can go at this at your own pace, right? But this price that I'm charging of $100 is going to be this time and this time only, and I'll never be this price again, because this is my founder's launch, right? I'm launching this for the first time. And then after that, if you want to come back, I'll probably close it and then open it up again in the future. But it's probably going to be either $250 or $500. So if you can't commit right now, you can definitely go at your own pace. Take 90 days, take 120 days, take 6 months. Don't even start it till the summertime if you're not ready, right? But at least sign up now just to get access to the content and then go through it at your own pace. Plus, you're going to be part of the community. You'll have access to me, and you can ask me anything that you need, whatever questions you have. Okay, so I answered that already. So who's in? Who's ready to burn the ship and start a photography business now and not talk about this in like 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years? So for those that are ready, oh, and as a bonus, the first 10 people that signs up today, You also get access to my 2-hour training on marketing for photographers. Okay, so it's a 2-hour training. I normally charge like $50 to $100 for this training. You get it for free. So for those that are ready, you can sign up right now. There's a link. I'm going to post it in the chat box. And yeah, go ahead and sign up. Okay, so Mike asked a question. He wants to move faster. Yes, so for those that want to move even faster, maybe reach out to me directly and tell me what step you want to learn, and I will guide you through that step. Okay, so yeah, just reach out, but you should join. Once you join, then you'll have access to me, and then just reach out to me directly, and I'll help you through whatever step you need. Yeah, so definitely, Mike, I can help you out. So yeah, so who's going to join? If you're going to sign up, or you have signed up, just type in the chat box that you've signed up, so I know you have. And for those that are, I know there's a couple people here that are already in my membership. Don't sign up through this link because you guys have a special price. You should already have gotten the link in your email from yesterday. Sign up through there. Okay, if you're already in my membership site, the Unstoppable Photographers. No, there's no coupon code. Just sign up as normal. So yeah, if you signed up, let me know so I can congratulate you, give you a high five. And then that is the class. For those that didn't sign up, don't worry about it, right? If you're not ready, you can't afford it, this is not something you want right now. You're here for just the information. Hit me up on Facebook, hit me up on Instagram. If you have questions about anything, I'm an open book. Send me a message. I prefer Facebook. If you're on Facebook, just send me a DMs like, Steven, thanks for the workshop. And then one day you're like, hey, I have a question. Remember you talking about this. Can you tell me more about this or whatever, right? Any help with marketing, any help with whatever, reach out to me, okay? So yeah, find me on these two platforms. For Facebook, this is the headshot that I have. So look for the guy, look for my face with the gray background, okay? But yeah, I won't charge you for just hitting me up on Facebook and asking me whatever questions you want. I'm an open book, right? I don't mind that. Okay, Mike is signing up. Okay, awesome, Mike. David says, really interesting. It was really interesting. Okay, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Iris, thanks for the workshop. This was great. Majdi says, great info. Thank you, Stephen. Dave, thank you. Jamie says, thank you. Cool. So who else is signing up besides Mike? Oh, Cynthia, you're in, right? Yeah, Kara signed up. Awesome. Cynthia, I guess I'll see you tomorrow too. Yeah, so here's the outline again, if you need to see the outline. Yeah, I can talk about it more, Kara. Actually, no, if you're, oh no, okay. Yeah, I can talk about it here. Let's see here. So just a second, I'm gonna make sure, so yeah, I'm gonna go boost. Yeah, no worries, Leon. Glad you can show up, Leon. Awesome, Mike. So Mike signed up. Okay, Iris is going to sign up later. Okay, awesome, great. Make sure you save the link. Okay, so I'll answer Kara's question. So Kara had a question. So her question was, how do I figure out how much to charge, right? Okay, so here's here's how you figure out how much you should charge. Okay, so while that's happening, okay, now I'll leave it on the screen here for a second. Actually, no, I'll just unshare this. I think we're done this part here. Okay, no. Okay, so Kara's question was, how much should I charge? How do I figure out how much I should charge? Okay, so there's two things you need to figure out. One thing you need to figure out is your cost of doing business. And the second you need to figure out is what's your hourly rate to generate the income that you want. Okay. Okay. So what I mean by cost of doing business? Cost of doing business means it's money that you're spending if you got 0 clients that whole year, right? How much am I paying just to run the business if I have 0 clients? Okay. So that's things like your Adobe, like Photoshop monthly subscription, your business license, your insurance, your registration, your website hosting, right? Your if you're paying for any marketing, your marketing, your office rent, right? So like your office or your home, your home rent or mortgage, your utilities, right? Gas, electricity, your cell phone bill, your internet, any other subscription that you have, your laptop, your laptop, right? Any equipment that your camera gear, right? So those are all your overhead. So you add them all up, right? And you figure out what it is for that year. So let's just say we'll just use a number like 20,000, okay? Let's pretend it's 20,000 is your overhead, okay? Okay, so your overhead's 20,000 for the year. And then let's just say your goal is to make 50K a year, okay? So if your goal is to make 50K a year, to calculate your hourly rate to make 50K, the simple math is to subtract 3 zeros, okay? Meaning 50K less 3 zeros is $50. I won't show you the math of how to actually come up with that, right? That's another class. I taught that actually in my finance class in the Unstoppable Photographers membership, but just take my word, the math works out, okay? So you basically take 3 zeros and then it's $50 and you have to charge $50 an hour. That's what you need to charge billing 20 hours a week, meaning out of 40 hours that you're working in a week, 20 hours are billable, meaning someone's paying you to work, right? Because the other 20 hours are like doing non-billable work, like doing marketing, doing finances, networking, meeting, things like that, right? So if you charge $50 an hour, working 20 hours a week, right? You're gonna make 50K or $50,000, okay? So 50,000 plus your 20,000, which is your overhead, is $70,000. So if you subtract 3 zeros from $70,000, right, then you have to charge $70 an hour to make $50,000 with an overhead of $20,000. I hope that kind of made sense. Does that make sense? Was it Kara? Yeah, Kara. Okay, cool. Yeah, the math works out. Just kind of, yeah. Mike says, will I get a receipt? Yes, you should. And if you don't, it should be you'll have it in the back end and you can just print out that. Like I'll say that, you paid for like in under billing. Once you log into the back end, it'll be probably under accounts billings, right? Yeah. Oh, Noah has signed up. Awesome, Noah. Okay, yeah, awesome, Nappy. Yeah, if you need time to sign up for it, definitely, sign up when you're ready. Like I would say sign up within a week. Even though I'm releasing the first video probably like live on Monday and then the first video on Tuesday. If you need some time to sign up, that's totally fine. It will still be open for a bit before I close it. Probably for another week or two before I close it. And then after that, like I said, you can't get it at that price anymore. That's it. The course will probably be closed until, I don't know when, either summer or fall is when I'll open up again. Okay, Mike says, what's your next step? Now that you signed up, after this, I'm actually going to be sending a few emails out. But yeah, just hang on. if you want, you can join the Facebook group right now, actually. So for those that signed up, you can join the Facebook group right now. Just type in Unstoppable Photographer Launch. You're gonna see two groups. One's called Unstoppable Photographer, and another one's called Unstoppable Photographer Launch. So if you're on Facebook, join the launch one. And if you signed up for the membership, then you can join both, okay? Yeah. So yeah, I would say that would be the next step. And then again, after this workshop, I'll add you to it. So yeah, anyone has any other questions? Like I said, I'm an open book here. I will answer any questions that you have, either about photography, about entrepreneurship, anything you want. I will answer your question. And if you don't have any questions, I guess we're going to call it a day. Let's see here. Yeah, here, I'll give you the link to the Facebook group. Yeah, so for those that have joined, you can join the launch group. Whoops, sorry. To everybody. So yeah, the first one is for the launch group. If you joined, you can just click sign up. And if you decide to join the membership, then here's the link for the second group. Okay, M. Nappy says, you spent a lot on gear when starting out. It depends on your definition of a lot, right? Money is always relative, right? For some people, you know, $10,000 is a lot. And so for some people, it's not that bad. Some people, $2,000 is a lot. And some people are like, no, I got lots of money in the bank account, right? And some people, $500 is a lot of money, right? Yeah, so to start a photography business, you need the basics. And I would say the basic that you need is just a camera with your kit lens, right? You just need a DSLR camera and your kit lens. That's like the absolute minimum that you need to get started. And then I would also recommend getting some kind of editing software. So like Lightroom or Photoshop. Between those two things, you can get started. And then over time, you can buy more and more gear, right? You can buy more lenses, you can upgrade your body, you can get flashes, you can get studio equipment, right? Yeah. Anyone else with any other questions? And where are you from, out of curiosity? Oh yeah, and I should mention, yeah, if you're not from Canada, right? So the time zones will be Monday at 7 o'clock, like my time, Mountain Standard Time. If you happen to be halfway around the world and it's midday your time, then that's awesome. You know, to wake up in the middle of the night. But if you can't attend live, it's not a big deal. You can just watch the recordings. Yeah. Yeah, and then California, 1 hour time zone. So yeah, not too bad. Okay, if no one else have any other questions, I'm gonna call it a day. Well, congratulations, Mike, for signing up. I know Cynthia signed up. I believe Kara has signed up, or no? I know M. Nappy said he's gonna think about it. Hope you do sign up. Neha has signed up, and then Vaughn, are you signing up, Vaughn? Did you say you signed up? Let's see here. What's your status, Vaughn? Can't today, but probably within a week. Okay, hope to see you in a week, Vaughn. Okay, then I'm calling it a day. Unless I'll take one last question if anybody wants to take advantage of it. You guys want to learn a marketing question? Want to learn some marketing tips? So it's going to be 7 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. So 6 o'clock, yeah, Pacific. Yes, on Zoom. Yeah, and you will get the link. Okay, then I'm going to call it a day. Catch y'all later. Thanks for attending. Hope you can watch a Zoom after. Yeah, so I did record it, so you're going to get the replay, and I'll send it out shortly after here. Okay, bye.